Welcome to the forecast discussion for July 17th, 2013. We have the air conditioner blaring in the background. Sorry about that. But we got to stay cool because it is hot and humid once again today. As of 8:30 a.m., we have temperatures ranging from the upper 70s over the northern tier, upper 70s to lower 80s to the north of New York City and over northeastern Pennsylvania, and lowered to mid 80s over the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area already. This is going to be another hot and humid day. Definitely temperatures are going to be pushing into the mid to upper 90s over the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area. Would not be surprised if someone hits 100 degrees somewhere in Newark or Camden, New Jersey, because we're seeing this feedback effect with the hot and humid conditions in place. And that basically means your low temperatures, for example, this morning basically was around 80 degrees and already jumping into 83. And don't be surprised if we're breaking 90 degrees by 10 a.m. in many of these locations. And of course, with that, we have high levels of humidity. Take a look at the surface map. We already have dew points pushing into the lower to mid 70s throughout the entire New York City and Philadelphia metropolitan area. It's going to be another hot and humid day, and that's why we have heat advisories and extreme heat warnings and all sorts of, basically, National Weather Service is saying it's going to be hot, it's going to be humid, and the heat index is going to be over 100 degrees. So please stay indoors and drink plenty of water. Please do. This heat is not something to play around with. In terms of any potential thunderstorms, there is one though disturbance to keep an eye here over northern New England. I went into a lot of detail on this disturbance in the premium discussions. Let me just say, if we're going to see a thunderstorm, it's going to develop over the Hudson River Valley and drop south towards New York City. I think for the most part, much of eastern Pennsylvania is on the dry side, along with much of New Jersey. You can't rule out an isolated rogue thunderstorm just with all this humidity in the atmosphere. But I think the focus for any thunderstorm development is clearly going to be over the New York City metro and points north and east. And the best potential for any severe thunderstorms will be over New England, specifically around New Hampshire, Vermont, and Maine, right along this little boundary right here. So for the most part, again, we're dealing with another hot and humid day. Rinse and repeat from what we saw yesterday, with temperatures pushing well into the 90s and the heat index well into the hundreds. On the infrared satellite picture, you can see high pressure is firmly in control and plenty of sinking dry air in place. So, what can we expect for the next couple of days? Well, unfortunately, much of the same. Here we are for this evening. The high pressure ridge is firmly in place and not moving anywhere. By the way, here's our polar vortex here. Rather strong for this time of year, I will have to say. But it is focused further north into the Hudson Bay, and we're going to keep this type of pattern locked in for the next couple of days. This strong ridge is balancing out this strong upper level low. So really nothing's going to change until this weekend's or this weekend's, in which then one feature takes over for the other. So moving on through this upcoming week for Thursday and Friday, high pressure and control, same thing. Rinse and repeat from what we are seeing today. Temperatures in the mid to upper 90s over the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area, upper 80s to mid 90s along the coast. Really depends on whether or not you get a sea breeze. For example, if you get a sea breeze, your temperature will be blunted at 89 and then fall back into the lower 80s. If you don't, definitely pushing into the 91 to 92 degree range. Meanwhile, locations just away from the coast will easily push above 95 degrees. However, relief is on the way. By the time we get to Saturday, a cold front will attempt to move through the region. I say attempt because I don't think it's going to make it all the way through. I think what's going to happen is this cold front's going to have a nice push and nice drive through Pennsylvania, through much of New Jersey, but once it starts hitting the coastline and starts to interact with this strong ridge out here in the Atlantic, it'll likely stall out, and we're starting to see that now in the Malagasy more and more, and that's going to mean that we're going to see widespread showers and thunderstorms on Saturday afternoon and evening. These thunderstorms could be severe. You're looking at a strong jet max here at the mid-levels as this cold front's moving through. And of course, as you know, we have plenty of heat and humidity in the atmosphere. And with colder, dry air aloft moving in, that's going to lead to the threat for thunderstorms capable of producing very strong wind gusts over 60 miles per hour, large hail, frequent lightning, very heavy downpours. So Saturday afternoon, evening looks to be rather stormy. So if you have plans, just don't cancel them right now, but just beware that thunderstorms are going to be a problem for you Saturday afternoon, evening. Moving on beyond that point, the cold front stalls out for Sunday and Monday and Tuesday. And what that basically means is that with the cold front sitting around here, you're going to have a constant threat for showers and thunderstorms, widely scattered. Not a complete washout, but certainly a bit of a nuisance. Humidity is going to be lower because we're going to be in a slightly drier air mass. We're talking about dew points in the 60s rather than the 70s. The temperatures fall back to near normal, which is basically in the mid to upper 80s, possibly a few lower 90s in the Philadelphia metro during this time period. The immediate coast will fall back into the lower to mid 80s. You'll really feel the difference in the air mass in the morning because the humidity is going to be a lot lower and your temperatures are going to be in the 60s rather than near 80 degrees. So that's when you're really going to feel the difference in this air mass. Unfortunately, we're pretty much locked into the same pattern we saw before the heat wave. Strong ridge over the western Atlantic, trough reestablishing itself over the Great Lakes, and the northern mid-Atlantic in a constant fight between the tropical air mass being drawn up from the Gulf of Mexico and the cooler polar air mass locked in over the Great Lakes. So that is your forecast discussion for today. Of course, I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. You'll follow the latest weather information at nynjpaweather.com and nynjpaweather on Twitter and Facebook. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe out there.